then they really mess with you and they give you secant. Well, it's really not that hard. When they give you secant, you just change it right away. So secant theta equals 2.5. That means the cosecant, or cosine, sorry, cosine of theta is equal to 1 over 2.5, and that's just awkward, so we could just make it 2 over 5, because if I multiply each one of these by 2, then I get 2 over 5, and those are easier numbers to look at. So now I'm just going to deal with the cosine part of it. Secant's gone. It gives us 2 pi and negative 2 pi again, so I know that I'm dealing with a positive and a negative angle. And because cosine is positive, then x is positive, which means that I'm dealing with this quadrant and this quadrant, because x is positive in quadrant 1 and 4. I can kind of do a quick sketch because I know that cosine is x over r, and so I have an x of 2, so I could put that out there, and then r is 5, so it's going to be long. So it's either going to be like that or like that. So I kind of know, I have a general idea what it's going to look like. It's not going to be super flat down here or anything like that. It's going to be kind of tall, and I don't really have to figure it out any more than that just to sketch it. Right, so I want to know what that angle is though, and it doesn't really fall on my platform either. So what would I do? Well, the easiest part would be to find this reference angle, and it's pretty much a straight shot because I don't have to worry about adding or subtracting anything when I'm in quadrant 1. So I can just use my calculator, and second function cos 2 over 5. Which gives me 1.159, so 1.2, I guess, if we want to round it off to 1 decimal place. So that means it's 1.2 radians. And if I want to think about that in my head as to whether or not that's logical, well, 3.14 radians, pi radians, is here. And so 1.7 radians would be here. 1.2, yeah, I might have drawn it a little low. Maybe it's a little higher in real life, but it's pretty close. So ballpark, 1.2 radians makes sense. Now that's my forward angle here. And I would have one more before I got all the way around to 2 pi, because I could continue it, just using a different color, I could continue it all the way around to here. And that's going to be 2 pi minus 1.2 to get the radians there. So 2 pi is basically 6.28, because 2 pi's, minus 1.2 would give me, I'm just going to cheat and use my calculator. Yeah, so 5.1 roughly would be the answer there. So I've got 1.2 as an angle, and I've got 5.1, pardon me, as an angle, and these are radians. So I could just write rads. Those are my 2 positive ones. If I were to wrap around, I'd be going past the 2 pi, and so that doesn't count. So now I'm just going to go backwards, and my first backwards degree would be negative 1.2. So negative 1.2 radians. And if I want to continue going backward to here, it would make sense to do the same thing and have negative 5.1 radians as well. So the way that this one falls, I actually have 4 possible degrees, and they'd still all have the same cosine or secant ratio.